There are people who walk among us carrying a different light. You've surely encountered some of them. They are those who, upon entering a room, seem to bring with them a transformative atmosphere, a presence that transcends the ordinary. They aren't people who seek the spotlight or need to announce their arrival. On the contrary, their strength lies in a magnetic stillness, a serenity that naturally emanates from their deep connection with the divine. These are the chosen ones, those who have been touched by God's special grace. They are not superior to others, but they carry a unique responsibility. They are living beacons of divine presence in the world. When a chosen one enters a space, people naturally turn toward them, not because they seek attention, but because their presence carries something inexplicable, a force that simultaneously calms and awakens. Imagine being in a room full of people, where voices blend and energy seems scattered. Then, silently, one of the chosen ones enters the space. There's no announcement, no commotion, but something subtle begins to happen. It's as if the air itself transforms, as if a different frequency begins to vibrate. People, even without consciously realizing it, start to feel a change. Some stop talking for a moment, others feel a sudden need for reflection. It's as if for a brief instant everyone is reminded of something greater, something beyond the superficiality of daily life. The chosen ones carry this capacity, not because they sought it, but because they fully accepted their divine calling. They understood that their journey isn't about themselves, but about serving as instruments of God's will. This deep understanding manifests in every aspect of their being, in the serene gaze that seems to see beyond appearances, in the gentle smile that brings comfort without words, in the posture that reflects an unshakable confidence not in themselves, but in God. If you feel God's presence in your life and want to continue receiving these signs, sign up to stay inspired. For just as the chosen ones are guided by divine light, you too can strengthen your connection with the sacred through these messages of faith and purpose. The aura surrounding a chosen one is something that intrigues those around them. It's not an aura of superiority or detachment, but of deep peace that seems to defy the world's turbulence. It's as if they have access to a source of serenity that others barely glimpse. This serenity doesn't come from favorable external circumstances, but from an unshakable anchor in their faith. The chosen ones understand something that many still seek to comprehend. True power isn't in dominating others, but in mastering oneself through complete surrender to divine will. They don't need to prove their worth or defend their position, for they know their authority comes from a much higher source than any earthly validation. When we observe a chosen one in action, whether in a professional, family, or social environment, we notice that their influence manifests in a unique way. It's not through lofty words or grandiose gestures, but through a presence that naturally elevates the level of each interaction. In meetings, their words, though few, carry weight and wisdom. In moments of conflict, their serenity acts as a balm that calms heated spirits. In celebrations, their genuine joy amplifies everyone's happiness. The chosen ones carry with them a deep understanding that every moment is an opportunity to manifest God's glory. For them, there is no distinction between sacred and profane moments, as they understand that all life is an expression of the divine. This awareness is reflected in every action, every word, every glance. It's as if each gesture were a silent prayer, each interaction an opportunity to serve a higher purpose. In a world where many desperately chase recognition and validation, the chosen ones stand out for their spiritual self-sufficiency. It's not a self-sufficiency based on ego, but on the unshakable certainty that God is their source and sustenance. This certainty manifests in a serene confidence that many mistake for pride, but which is actually the purest expression of humility, the humility of one who knows that everything they possess and everything they are comes from God. If you believe God's hand is guiding the chosen ones, comment Amen to affirm your faith, for it is through this collective affirmation that we strengthen one another on our spiritual path. The presence of a chosen one in a workplace, for example, often catalyzes subtle but profound changes. Without boasting or seeking credit, they elevate the ethical and moral standard simply by being who they are. Their unwavering integrity serves as a mirror reflecting the choices and actions of others. It's not uncommon to see people around them begin to question their own values and behaviors, not due to external pressure, but because of an inner awakening provoked by the Chosen One's presence. In times of crisis or adversity, the special nature of the Chosen Ones becomes even more evident. While others despair or succumb to panic, they maintain a calm that seems to defy logic. This isn't a calm born of indifference, but of the deep conviction that God is in control. Their faith doesn't make them immune to challenges, but it gives them a different perspective on them. The Chosen Ones understand that each trial is an opportunity for testimony, each obstacle an invitation to demonstrate the sufficiency of divine grace. It's remarkable how, in the midst of life's most intense storms, they remain as beacons of hope and strength for those around them. Not because they are superhuman or immune to pain, but because they have learned to anchor their identity in something much greater than passing circumstances. This deep anchoring manifests in a particular characteristic of the Chosen Ones, their ability to remain centered on their purpose, regardless of the distractions or temptations surrounding them. In an era of constant dispersion and incessant search for immediate gratification, they maintain an admirable focus on their divine mission. They don't get carried away by trends or social pressures, for their inner compass is calibrated by eternal values. The mystery surrounding the Chosen Ones isn't something fabricated or intentionally cultivated. It's a natural result of their intimacy with the divine. Just as Moses came down from the mountain with a radiant face after being in God's presence, the Chosen Ones carry with them a special glow that others perceive, even if they can't explain it. It's a light that doesn't dazzle, but illuminates, doesn't intimidate, but inspires. The presence of a Chosen One in a workplace, for example, often catalyzes subtle but profound changes. Without boasting or seeking credit, they elevate the ethical and moral standard simply by being who they are. Their unwavering integrity serves as a mirror, reflecting the choices and actions of others. It's not uncommon to see people around them begin to question their own values and behaviors, not due to external pressure, but because of an inner awakening provoked by the Chosen One's presence. In moments of crisis or adversity, the special nature of the Chosen Ones becomes even more evident. While others despair or succumb to panic, they maintain a calm that seems to defy logic. This isn't a calm born of indifference, but of the deep conviction that God is in control. Their faith doesn't make them immune to challenges, but it gives them a different perspective on them. The Chosen Ones understand that each trial is an opportunity for testimony, each obstacle an invitation to demonstrate the sufficiency of divine grace. It's remarkable how, in the midst of life's most intense storms, they remain beacons of hope and strength for those around them. Not because they're superhuman or immune to pain, but because they've learned to anchor their identity in something much greater than passing circumstances. This deep anchoring manifests in a particular characteristic of the Chosen Ones, their ability to remain centered on their purpose, regardless of the distractions or temptations surrounding them. In an era of constant dispersion and incessant pursuit of immediate gratification, they maintain an admirable focus on their divine mission. They aren't swayed by trends or social pressures, for their inner compass is calibrated by eternal values. The mystery surrounding the Chosen Ones isn't something fabricated or intentionally cultivated. It's a natural result of their intimacy with the divine. Just as Moses came down from the mountain with a shining face after being in God's presence, the Chosen Ones carry with them a special glow that others perceive, even if they can't explain it. It's a light that doesn't dazzle, but illuminates, doesn't intimidate, but inspires. In their interpersonal relationships, the Chosen Ones demonstrate a unique quality of presence. When they converse with someone, they offer total and genuine attention that makes the person feel truly seen and heard. There's no rush in their interactions, no hidden agenda. Each encounter is treated as a sacred opportunity to be a channel. The presence of a Chosen One in a workplace, for example, frequently catalyzes subtle but profound changes. Without boasting or seeking credit, they elevate the ethical and moral standard simply by being who they are. Their unwavering integrity serves as a mirror reflecting the choices and actions of others. It's not uncommon to see people around them beginning to question their own values and behaviors, not due to external pressure, but because of an inner awakening provoked by the Chosen One's presence. In moments of crisis or adversity, The special nature of the chosen ones becomes even more evident. While others despair or succumb to panic, they maintain a calm that seems to defy logic. This is not a calm born of indifference, but of the deep conviction that God is in control. Their faith doesn't make them immune to challenges, but it gives them a different perspective on them. The chosen ones understand that each trial is an opportunity for testimony, each obstacle an invitation to demonstrate the sufficiency of divine grace. It's remarkable how in the midst of life's most intense storms, they remain as beacons of hope and strength for those around them. Not because they are superhuman or immune to pain, but because they have learned to anchor their identity in something much greater than passing circumstances. This deep anchoring manifests in a particular characteristic of the chosen ones, their ability to remain centered on their purpose, regardless of the distractions or temptations surrounding them. In an era of constant dispersion and incessant pursuit of immediate gratification, they maintain an admirable focus on their divine mission. They don't get carried away by trends or social pressures, for their inner compass is calibrated by eternal values. The mystery surrounding the chosen ones is not something fabricated or intentionally cultivated. It's a natural result of their intimacy with the divine. Just as Moses came down from the mountain with a radiant face after being in God's presence, the chosen ones carry with them a special glow that others perceive, even if they can't explain it. It's a light that doesn't dazzle, but illuminates, doesn't intimidate, but inspires. In their interpersonal relationships, the chosen ones demonstrate a unique quality of presence. When they converse with someone, they offer total and genuine attention that makes the person feel truly seen and heard. There's no rush in their interactions, no hidden agenda. Each encounter is treated as a sacred opportunity to be a channel of divine grace in another human being's life. This quality of presence also extends to how they handle their own challenges and limitations. The chosen ones don't claim perfection. In fact, their genuine humility is one of their most notable characteristics. They recognize their flaws and fragilities, but don't allow these to define them. Instead, they transform their own struggles into living testimonies of God's transforming power. The resilience of the chosen ones is something that often leaves others in awe. It's not a resilience born of human willpower, but of the deep understanding that they are sustained by a power greater than their own capabilities. When they face setbacks or difficulties, they don't despair or rebel. Instead, they see each challenge as an opportunity to deepen their dependence on God. This resilience manifests particularly powerfully in their ability to maintain inner peace amidst external chaos. While the world around them may be in turmoil, the chosen ones maintain a serenity that seems to defy logic. It's as if they have access to a source of peace that transcends human understanding. One of the most notable characteristics of the chosen ones is their ability to influence without imposing. Their presence acts as a subtle catalyst for transformation in the lives of those around them. It's not uncommon for people to begin questioning their own values and life choices simply by having interacted with a chosen one. It's as if their authenticity and integrity serve as a mirror reflecting the inconsistencies and superficialities that many carry. The chosen ones possess a deep understanding that their calling is not to judge or condemn, but to love and serve. This understanding manifests in genuine compassion that transcends social, cultural, and religious barriers. They manage to see beyond appearances and labels, seeing in each person the image and likeness of God, even when it's obscured by layers of pain, fear, or anger. In an increasingly polarized and divided world, the chosen ones stand out for their ability to build bridges and promote unity. Not through compromises with truth, but through a love that is strong enough to embrace differences without losing its own essence. They understand that true strength is not in dominating or subjugating others, but in serving with humility and grace. The authority that the chosen ones exercise is of a completely different nature from what the world knows. It's not an authority based on titles, positions, or coercive power, but an authority that naturally emanates from their connection with the divine. It's an authority that doesn't need to be imposed or defended, for it manifests spontaneously through their actions and attitudes. In their families and closest circles, the chosen ones often become points of reference and spiritual anchors. not because they seek that role, but because their presence naturally provides a sense of stability and direction. In moments of crisis or uncertainty, people instinctively turn to them, not only seeking advice, but also strength and hope. The way the chosen ones handle success and recognition is particularly instructive. While many are corrupted by adulation and power, they maintain a genuine humility that protects them from the trap of pride. They understand deeply that any gift or ability they possess is a gift from God, intended not for their own glory, but for the service of the kingdom. This understanding is reflected in their attitude towards achievements and conquests. There is in them no desire to accumulate trophies or collect applause. Each success is seen as an opportunity to glorify God and bless others. It's this perspective that keeps them centered and focused on their higher purpose, even when surrounded by temptations of deviation and distraction. The journey of the chosen ones is marked by a deep understanding of the power of silence. In a world dominated by constant noise and the compulsive need for expression, they find strength in quietness. They know that some of the deepest truths cannot be expressed in words, and that some of the most transformative moments occur in the silence of divine presence. This ability to inhabit silence with comfort and grace is one of the characteristics that most intrigues those around them. While many feel uncomfortable with moments of quietness, the chosen ones embrace them as sacred opportunities for communion with God. It's in these moments that their connection with the divine deepens and their inner light strengthens. The chosen ones carry with them a wisdom that goes beyond intellectual knowledge. It's a wisdom born of intimacy with God, cultivated through deep experiences of faith and trials. This wisdom manifests not only in their words, but in their way of being and existing in the world. It's as if each gesture, each glance, each silence carries a deeper meaning. In their professional relationships, the chosen ones often stand out, not by seeking recognition, but by their natural excellence. Their impeccable work ethic and unquestionable integrity create a standard that others naturally aspire to reach. It's not uncommon to see entire environments transformed by the silent but powerful presence of a chosen one. The way they handle conflicts and adversities is particularly revealing. While others react with hostility or fear, the chosen ones maintain a posture of peace and dignity, not because they are passive or weak, but because their strength comes from a deeper source than external circumstances. They understand that each conflict is an opportunity to demonstrate God's love and grace. One of the most distinctive marks of the chosen ones is their ability to remain faithful to their values and convictions, even when it means swimming against the cultural current. There is in them no desire to conform to the world's standards or to seek approval through compromise with their principles. This firmness, however, never manifests as rigidity or intolerance, but as a serene and unshakable conviction. The chosen ones understand that their journey is not about accumulating followers or building a personal legacy, but about being a channel through which God's grace and love can flow into the world. This understanding frees them from the need to compete or compare, allowing them to focus entirely on their divine mission. The authenticity of the chosen ones manifests particularly powerfully in their form of worship and connection with the divine. There is no need in them for performances or extravagant demonstrations of spirituality. Their worship is deep and genuine, born from a heart that truly knows and loves God. This spiritual authenticity is contagious, inspiring others to seek a deeper and more meaningful connection with the divine. In their prayers, the chosen ones demonstrate an intimacy with God that goes beyond religious formalities. Their conversations with the divine flow naturally, like an ongoing dialogue that permeates every aspect of their lives. This constant connection is reflected in their ability to discern God's will and make decisions aligned with His greater purpose. The way the chosen ones handle time is also noteworthy. In an era of rush and immediacy, they maintain a different rhythm, more aligned with divine time. They don't let themselves be contaminated by the anxiety and urgency of the world, but maintain a patience that is born from trust in God's plans and perfect timing. This differentiated relationship with time manifests in their ability to be fully present in each moment. When they are with someone, they are truly there, body, mind, and spirit. This quality of presence creates a sacred space where meaningful encounters can occur and lives can be transformed. The chosen ones carry with them a deep understanding of the power of gratitude. Even in the midst of challenging circumstances, they maintain a grateful heart, recognizing God's goodness in every situation. This attitude of gratitude is not superficial or forced, but springs naturally from their unshakable trust in God's character and faithfulness. In their families, the chosen ones establish an environment of love, respect, and spiritual growth. Their homes become true sanctuaries where God's presence can be tangibly experienced, not through rigid rules or superficial religiosity, but through genuine love and faith lived out day by day. The way they educate their children reflects their deep understanding of what it means to be a channel of divine grace. They don't impose faith, but live it in such an authentic and attractive way that naturally inspires younger generations to seek their own connection with God. Their homes become schools of character and faith, where eternal values are transmitted through daily example. The influence of the chosen ones extends far beyond their immediate circles. Like ripples expanding in a lake, the impact of their lives touches people they may never personally meet. Stories of their faith, integrity, and love inspire others to seek a more meaningful life aligned with divine purpose. In their relationships, the chosen ones demonstrate a unique ability to love without conditions or expectations. This love is not based on superficial emotions or personal interests, but reflects God's own love, unconditional, sacrificial, and transformative. It's a love that doesn't retreat in the face of others' imperfections or failures, but persists in seeing the divine potential in each person. The way the chosen ones handle forgiveness is particularly notable. They don't harbor resentments or allow bitterness to take root in their hearts. They deeply understand that they have been forgiven by God and therefore extend that same forgiveness to others. This ability to genuinely forgive frees not only those who have hurt them, but also themselves. In their spiritual journey, the chosen ones maintain an admirable balance between humility and authority. They know who they are in God and walk with confidence in that identity, but never in an arrogant or presumptuous manner. Their spiritual authority is exercised with grace and wisdom, always with the aim of edifying and strengthening others. The spiritual discipline of the chosen ones is something that impresses those who observe them closely. It's not a legalistic discipline based on external rules, but a deep commitment to spiritual growth and maturity. Their lives are marked by consistent practices of prayer, study of the Word, and worship, not as religious obligations, but as natural expressions of their love for God. In moments of celebration and joy, the chosen ones demonstrate a unique ability to fully enjoy God's blessings without losing their spiritual anchor. Their joy is deep and genuine, but never superficial or uncontrolled. They know how to celebrate life while always maintaining an awareness of God's presence and glory. The way they face losses and disappointments also reveals the depth of their faith. They don't deny pain or pretend everything is fine, but process their emotions honestly before God. Their vulnerability in these moments becomes a powerful testimony to the sufficiency of divine grace. The chosen ones possess a unique understanding of the power of silent witness. They understand that some of the most powerful messages are transmitted not through words, but through a life lived with integrity and purpose. Their very existence becomes a living letter, read and interpreted by all who cross their path. In their professional life, the chosen ones stand out not only for their competence, but for a work ethic that reflects their spiritual values. They treat each task, no matter how mundane it may seem, as an opportunity to glorify God. This attitude transforms work environments and inspires colleagues to seek a higher purpose in their own careers. In the heart of New York City, a young woman named Sarah began to stand out among her college peers. It wasn't for her appearance or academic achievements, but for an intangible quality that drew people to her. Sarah, without knowing it, was one of the chosen ones. From a young age, Sarah had felt a special connection with the divine. She grew up in a modest home in Brooklyn, surrounded by the hustle and bustle of city life. Her parents, Jack and Mary, were simple people but with deep faith. They taught Sarah the value of prayer and service to others. As Sarah grew, her inner light became more evident. In high school, her classmates often came to her for comfort or advice, attracted by her serenity and wisdom that seemed beyond her years. Teachers noticed how her presence in the classroom seemed to calm even the most restless students. Now at Columbia University, Sarah was studying medicine, driven by a genuine desire to alleviate the suffering of others. Her classmates and professors soon noticed that there was something different about her. It wasn't just her dedication to study or her compassion for patients during clinical practices. It was something deeper, a quality they couldn't define, but that inexplicably attracted them. One day, during a particularly stressful anatomy class, the professor, Dr. Thompson, was in a bad mood and harshly criticizing the students. The tension in the classroom was palpable. Sarah, sitting silently, closed her eyes for a moment and offered a silent prayer. Suddenly, without anyone being able to explain how, the atmosphere in the classroom changed. Dr. Thompson seemed to calm down, his tone softened, and the students' anxiety dissipated. After class, a classmate named Emily approached Sarah. "I don't know what you did," Emily said, "but I felt as if a wave of peace had enveloped us all." "How do you do it?" Sarah smiled softly. "It wasn't me, Emily. Wasn't. I just asked God to help us. He always listens." This incident was just one of many moments where Sarah's presence seemed to transform situations and touch lives. At the university hospital, patients often commented on how they felt calmer and more hopeful after Sarah visited them, even if it was only for a few minutes. One day, Sarah was assigned to the pediatric oncology ward. There she met Michael, an 8-year-old boy battling leukemia. Michael was depressed and refusing to eat or talk to anyone. The doctors and nurses were worried about his emotional state, which seemed to be affecting his treatment. When Sarah entered Michael's room, something changed. She didn't say much at first, just sat by his bed and began to softly hum a song her grandmother used to sing to her as a child. Michael, who had been staring blankly at the wall, slowly turned his head towards her. "That song," he said in a hoarse voice. "My grandma used to sing it," Sarah smiled. "It's a very special song, isn't it? It makes me feel like I'm wrapped in a warm hug." For the first time in days, Michael smiled. "Me too," he said. From that moment on, Michael began to open up. Sarah spent time with him every day, reading him stories, drawing together, or simply sitting in silence. Michael's attitude towards his treatment changed drastically. He began to eat better, cooperate with the doctors, and show signs of improvement. The doctors were amazed by the change in Michael. Dr. Roberts, the lead oncologist, called Sarah to his office. "I don't know how you've done it," he said, "but you've achieved what none of us could. Michael's attitude has improved so much that his chances of recovery have significantly increased." "You have a special gift, Sarah." Sarah responded with humility. "It's not me, doctor. It's God working through me. I just try to be an instrument of his love." Dr. Roberts looked at her thoughtfully. "Whatever it is," he said, "you're making a real difference here. Keep it up." As Sarah progressed in her studies, her reputation grew, not only for her academic excellence, but for the impact she had on people around her. Patients specifically asked to be attended by her, and her classmates often sought her advice and support. However, Sarah never sought recognition or praise. She maintained a genuine humility, always directing attention towards God and not towards herself. Her faith was the center of her life, and she spent time every morning in prayer and meditation before starting her day. One Saturday afternoon, as Sarah was walking through Central Park, she came across a group of young people who were arguing heatedly. She approached cautiously and realized that the argument was about religion and politics. Voices were raised and tension was evident. Without saying a word, Sarah sat on a nearby bench and began to pray silently. Gradually, almost imperceptibly, the tone of the discussion began to change. Voices softened, and the young people started listening to each other more instead of just shouting their opinions. One of the young men, noticing Sarah, approached her. "Excuse me," he said, "but have you been listening to our discussion?" Sarah smiled kindly. "I didn't want to intrude," she replied, "but I couldn't help but notice the passion with which you all speak. It's beautiful to see young people so committed to their beliefs." The young man, who introduced himself as David, seemed surprised by her response. "But we were yelling and arguing," he said. "How can that be beautiful?" Passion itself isn't bad, Sarah explained. What's important is how we channel it. Imagine the good you could do if you used that passion to understand each other and work together for a better America. Sarah's words seemed to touch something deep in David and the other young people who had come over to listen. What began as a heated argument transformed into a thoughtful conversation about how they could make a positive difference in their community. Before leaving, David asked Sarah, "How do you do it? How can you see the good in a situation that seemed so negative?" Sarah responded, "I try to see people and situations as God sees them. We all have light within us. Sometimes we just need help remembering it." As Sarah walked away, the young people were left with a sense of peace and purpose that they couldn't fully explain. Without knowing it, they had been touched by the presence of a chosen one. In the months that followed, Sarah continued her work at the hospital and her studies with the same dedication and love she had always shown. But something was changing within her. She felt an increasingly strong calling to do something more, something that went beyond conventional medicine. One night, while praying in her small apartment in Brooklyn, Sarah had a vision. She saw hundreds of people, of all ages and backgrounds, gathered in a place of healing. It wasn't a traditional hospital, but a space where modern medicine combined with ancient wisdom and deep faith. In this place, people not only healed physically but also found spiritual peace and purpose in life. Sarah knew at that moment that this was her true calling. It wouldn't be easy, but she had the certainty that God would guide her every step of the way. The next morning, Sarah shared her vision with her parents. Jack and Mary listened attentively, their eyes shining with a mixture of pride and concern. "Honey," Jack said, "we've always known you were special. If this is the path God has set before you, we'll support you with all our hearts." Mary added, "But it won't be easy, my dear. The world doesn't always understand those who have a different vision." Sarah hugged her parents, grateful for their unconditional love and support. "I know, Mom," she said, "but I feel that this is what I've been prepared for all my life. I can't ignore this calling." In the days and weeks that followed, Sarah began to take small steps towards realizing her vision. She spoke with her professors at the university about the possibility of integrating holistic healing practices into her medical education. Some looked at her skeptically, but others, like Dr. Roberts, saw the potential in her ideas. "Sarah, Dr. Roberts told her one day after class, "I've seen the impact you have on patients. If you believe this is the path you must follow, I'll support you in any way I can." With the support of some professors and classmates, Sarah began organizing small study groups where they explored the integration of modern medicine with traditional and spiritual healing practices. These groups soon became popular, attracting not only medical students but also nurses, psychologists, and even some experienced doctors. Meanwhile, at the hospital, Sarah continued to touch lives in extraordinary ways. One day, while doing her rounds in the intensive care unit, she encountered a critical situation. A patient named Rachel, who had been in a coma for weeks after a car accident, was having complications. The doctors had done everything possible, but it seemed Rachel was losing the battle. Sarah felt a strong impulse to stay with Rachel. She sat by her bed and began to pray quietly, holding Rachel's hand. Hours passed and Sarah remained there, speaking softly to Rachel, sharing words of encouragement and hope, even when it seemed Rachel couldn't hear. In the early morning hours, against all odds, Rachel opened her eyes. The doctors were amazed. Not only had Rachel awakened, but she seemed to be recovering rapidly. When asked what she remembered, Rachel said she had heard a soft voice guiding her back, a voice that gave her strength and hope. This incident became a turning point. Doctors and hospital administrators, who had previously been skeptical about Sarah's ideas, were now more open to exploring alternative approaches to healing. As Sarah approached graduation, her vision of a comprehensive healing center began to take more concrete shape. With the support of mentors like Dr. Roberts and some investors who believed in her mission, Sarah began planning the creation of a health center on the outskirts of New York City. The center, which she called Haven of Light, would be a place where modern medicine would be combined with alternative therapies, spiritual counseling, and traditional healing practices. It would be a space of hope and renewal, not only for the sick but for all who sought a fuller and more balanced life. The day of Haven of Light's inauguration finally arrived. The center, built on a tranquil plot of land overlooking the Hudson River, was a harmonious blend of modern architecture and natural elements. Gardens of medicinal plants surrounded the main building, and the air was filled with the aroma of fresh herbs and essential oils. As Sarah prepared to give her opening speech, she looked at the gathered crowd. She saw her parents, proud and emotional. She saw her professors and college classmates, patients whose lives she had touched, and new faces full of hope and curiosity. Sarah took a deep breath and began to speak. "Welcome to Haven of Light. This place is born from a dream, but more than that, it's born from a deep conviction that true healing involves body, mind, and spirit. Here, we will not only treat diseases, but nurture entire lives. Each of you carries within a divine light, and our purpose is to help that light shine with all its brilliance." Sarah's words resonated in the hearts of all present. As Haven of Light began to function, it became a beacon of hope for many. People from all over America, and even from other countries, came seeking healing and renewal. Over the years, the impact of Sarah and Haven of Light extended far beyond the walls of the center. It inspired a new generation of doctors and healers to adopt a more holistic approach to healthcare. Hospitals and clinics across the country began implementing similar programs, integrating ancient wisdom with modern medicine. Sarah, true to her nature as a chosen one, never sought personal recognition. She continued to live a life of service and devotion, always directing attention towards God and the innate capacity of each person to heal and grow. As she aged, Sarah became a respected and beloved figure throughout the community. Her presence continued to bring peace and hope to all who surrounded her. Even in her final days, she continued to inspire others with her unwavering faith and unconditional love. Sarah's legacy endured long after her departure. Haven of Light continued to grow and evolve, always faithful to its founder's vision. It became a symbol of what is possible when faith, compassion, and science work together in harmony. The story of Sarah, the chosen one from New York, became a legend, inspiring future generations to seek their own inner light and use it to illuminate the world around them. And so, in a corner of New York City, the light that God had kindled in the heart of a humble young woman from Brooklyn continued to shine, touching lives and transforming the world, one soul at a time.